Back to British Stand. Guys, we've got a big one for you as Trump has issued a major threat to Vladimir Putin. Yes, we're going to be discussing this in today's live stream, but first I do want to clear up this hideous background and why I've not been live at all today. I'm currently on a 4-day business trip in Bangkok, so just arrived today. I was traveling all day, so wasn't able to do any videos or live streams. I'm here for 4 days, so may have to put up with this background if we do go live. I'll try and see what I can do over the next couple of days to try and make it a little bit better. But yeah, that's the reason why I've not been around, and that's also the reason as to why it looks like I'm in some weird hostage situation. I'm not in a hostage situation. I haven't been caught. I'm here because I want to be here, not against my will or anything like that. But guys, let's get into this one. Of course, Donald Trump has come under a lot of criticism from a lot of the European leaders. He's come under a lot of criticisms for everyone in terms of fawning over Putin and taking Putin's side, and that's it. However, I've said time and time again, and people that are supporters of Donald Trump and the Americans all know, especially the Republicans know, that Donald Trump just wants the best. He wants peace within this war, and he wants the war to be brought to an end. He wants the stop of lives being lost and the fighting to stop. That's it. That's all he wants, and he wants a deal to be done as soon as possible between the two. Now, again, a lot of people have seen Trump come at Zelensky a lot recently, publicly, but just to go to show you, he just issued a major threat to Vladimir Putin. So again, he doesn't pick a side. He just wants what's best for everybody that's currently involved. So let's get to what Donald Trump has said over the last hour with regard to Vladimir Putin then, shall we? So he took up onto social media and says, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I am strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and a final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it is too late. Thank you. So Donald Trump has come out with that over the last hour or so, and this essentially comes after Ukraine announced that let me get the official what was happening, that Russia had launched certain jets last night across Ukraine, and they here we go. I'll get it up now. The exact thing. I don't want to get it wrong. So the threat was issued after Ukraine claims that it deployed Mirage jets for the first time overnight to fight against an attack on energy infrastructure, which left at least 18 dead, Ukrainian official sources said. It comes days ahead of members of the US government are scheduled to hold talks with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia to discuss bringing an end to the war in Ukraine. So this has come after the attacks that have been happening, and of course with Russia, and Donald Trump, as you can see here, is not picking any sides whatsoever. And for those of you, I'll go through it again. He said, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it's too late. Thank you. Oh my goodness me. It is certainly heating up in this everlasting saga between Trump, Ukraine, European officials, Russia, all of these kind of things. There's always loads of different twists and turns, but we'll find out what happens in Saudi Arabia between the US and the Ukrainians this week to see if the deals that Zelensky said a couple of days ago would be signed, and we'll see what happens with regard to Putin as well. I've not really heard too much from Putin. I did hear some Russian spokespeople saying that basically essentially attacking Macron about deploying soldiers potentially into Ukraine, but that's kind of it from the Russia side of things that I've been hearing for the last couple of days. However, this is a major threat from Donald Trump. Again, a guy who just wants peace in that area and wants the war to stop and isn't picking sides. He just wants young lives to stop being lost due to this war that is currently happening. But guys, do let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section below in the live chat. Let me take your thoughts and opinions on this as well. And again, for those of you just tuning in, I apologize. No news updating today. I am currently jet lagged like hell. I am absolutely knackered. So if I'm stumbling over my words, I apologize. But I'm here to bring the live stream to you regardless. Just got off the flight literally an hour and a half ago. So yeah, I'm absolutely knackered and I need a early night. 51 Angelic says, I think you're right, Dan. Trump doesn't want war, period, and will do what's necessary to bring them into line. Again, he's working on both of them, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Again, this is starting to take different twists and turns, and we'll see what happens in Saudi Arabia with regard to the Ukrainian side, because it did seem as though it was Ukraine mostly out of line without not coming to a deal. We've seen, of course, in I can't remember, it was in Saudi Arabia with Russia, where, of course, they held very successful initial talks, where Russia were coming round to the idea and wanted to strike a deal. However, since them talks, there's been loads of stuff that's gone on. You've had Zelensky, of course, go out there to the Oval Office. You've seen him being paraded around Europe as well. You've seen him come back to Trump again. You've seen loads of different twists and turns since then. So we'll see if it's finally, if Zelensky is a man of his word that he said a few days ago that he's willing to work with Donald Trump and get this peace deal agreed and stop this war. And we'll see what happens from the Russian side as well going forward. John Johnson says, one night in Bangkok makes a man humble. I love that song. One night in Bangkok. Just here for 4 nights. So not a long trip or anything like that. But yeah, it is what it is. It was something that I couldn't avoid. So yeah. Jim Patterson says, this needs to be resolved soon. The longer it goes on, the more chance of the sides pulling out of the talks. Trump is a man that wants to get it done quickly. That was the first thing that he said, basically, with regard to this whole war in general. He just said, I want the fighting to stop. I want the lives to stop being lost. I just want to bring the war to an end. And he's making things happen very, very quickly. I mean, if the Biden administration was still there, then this thing would just keep on escalating, and the Biden administration would just keep on fueling this war with sending money over to Ukraine, and nothing would have been done. There would have been no imminent idea of peace in the near future. So Donald Trump is a peacemaker, and he's getting the job done, despite Europe giving him the big middle fingers behind his back, which I do want to see what actually come across that. I was watching Andrew Tate, funnily enough, and I might do a reaction to it later on today. I know that's a bit of a dividing character, I suppose, but I like Andrew Tate. He speaks a lot of sense. But he was on a podcast with Patrick Bet-David and was speaking a lot about the state of the United Kingdom, and a lot of his views were very much correct, and he shares the same views as you and I. But he was speaking about the whole sort of geopolitical situation, whether it would be in the UK, the Europe, the Donald Trump situation with Zelensky, the war in Ukraine, and all of these kind of things. And then he was sort of like, how bad do you think Trump must have been? What do you reckon Trump must have been feeling like after he dished out that to Zelensky? And then the day after, all of the European leaders that were supposed to be allies were literally parading him around town as if he was some sort of hero. It's like a massive big middle finger to Donald Trump, and certainly it doesn't feel necessarily like they're your allies. But yeah. Browser head teacher says, I lost a lot of respect for you when you praised Tate. I mean, people are going to have different opinions on stuff, you know. With regard to Tate, as such, you know, I kind of like his message. Again, I don't know everything about Andrew Tate. I don't like every single thing about every single person. But I think he speaks sense, especially on the political situation. Maybe I'll bring the podcast on here and do a reaction. So for those of you not too keen on what he says, then maybe we'll bring it here on the live stream and do a little live reaction to it, and then you can see for yourself, because the things that he was saying in that podcast, especially with regard to the United Kingdom as well, was very, very true and kind of summed it up perfectly in a way that I probably couldn't do so with words, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody. See, look, everyone's. I mean, look, as you can see, everyone's got different opinions on Andrew Tate, guys. Just because you say, look, you like what he says and all of these kind of things, you don't have to love the guy and adore the feet that he walks, adore the ground that he walks on. I was just saying he completely made sense about the situation geopolitically on this Patrick Bet David podcast. And for those of you that maybe don't want to say, listen to it for yourself. Have a listen to what he says about the UK. It's very, very true, and it is good. He's also using his platform to spread his message out there and get more eyeballs on it as well. So you can have your opinion on him personally and all of these kind of things, but certainly on this podcast, he's speaking a hell of a lot of sense. But yeah, easy. But guys, I am absolutely knackered. Thank you for tuning in. Do let me know your thoughts on Donald Trump's words, his threat to Vladimir Putin down there in the comment section below. I'll be back tomorrow with a full flow of content. Again, apologies, I was in the sky and was flying here to Bangkok, where I'll be for the next 4 days. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe.